There are times in life when staying in a situation feels like it's slowly eroding your spirit, your health, and your sense of self. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a silent message that something needs to change. You could be in a relationship where you're not respected, a job that drains you without giving you fulfillment, or stuck in a cycle of obligation and guilt that makes you feel empty. Today we're going to talk about 9 specific times when walking away isn't just an option. It's an act of courage and self-respect. We'll look at how making these tough decisions, guided by the wisdom of Stoicism, can lead to deep personal growth and a life that is in line with your true values. Please stay with me until the end of the video. It will help you understand when to let go, how to take advantage of new opportunities, and why walking away can be the strongest and bravest choice you can make. If you like what we're doing here, please hit the subscribe button and don't skip any parts of the video. You won't want to miss these insights. One of the most important parts of a good relationship, whether it's personal or professional, is respect. If respect for someone starts to slip, you can feel it in every encounter. For example, your ideas might be thrown out in meetings. Your partner always talks over you or your friends. Don't mind your limits. These small, seemingly unimportant actions can make you feel like you're not being seen or valued, like standing on a foundation that could fall at any time. The Stoics say that our sense of self-worth should not be affected by other people's thoughts or actions, but it's hard to keep this in mind when you're surrounded by disrespect. For example, if you work in an environment where respect is lacking, you may notice a drop in your enthusiasm and productivity. Your contributions may go unnoticed, or even worse, someone else takes credit for your hard work. This isn't just a hit to your professional pride. It's a sign that you're not valued there. This is also true in your personal relationships. If your partner, family, or friends don't treat you with the respect you deserve, it's not just hurtful, it's toxic. It can make you question your worth and put a lot of stress on your mental health. Leaving these kinds of situations isn't the same thing as giving up. It's getting back your pride and sense of self-worth. Stoicism tells us to think about the things we can control, like our own actions and responses. You can't change how other people treat you, but you can choose to stay away from places where people don't respect you. It's a way to protect yourself and say that you deserve better. You're not only protecting your mental and emotional health when you walk away, but you're also setting a strong example for how you should deal with people in the future. You are telling yourself and everyone else that you will not stand for disrespect. This is not an easy choice. It takes a lot of strength and self-awareness. But by making it, you make room in your life for relationships and chances that are in line with your values and help you. You can't find and build a life where you are valued and appreciated while you're in a place where you aren't respected. It's not just about leaving negative environments. It's also about opening doors to positive, respectful environments. Walking away is a huge step toward personal growth and self-empowerment. Respect is essential for all meaningful interactions. So if you're in a situation where it's lacking, remember what the Stoics said. Focus on what you can control and have the courage to leave. Your self-respect and inner peace are worth more than staying in a place that makes you feel less important. We've all been there. Being taken for granted is a very frustrating feeling, especially when you put in a lot of effort and don't think anyone noticed or appreciated it. This can happen at work, in a friendship, or in your family. Go out of your way to help a friend or constantly support your loved ones, only to find that your efforts are met with indifference or expectation. It's exhausting and can leave you feeling completely drained when your hard work and dedication go unrecognized. It's a clear sign that something needs to change in the workplace. This might look like consistently putting in extra effort without so much as a thank you or acknowledgement from your boss. Your contributions become expected, rather than valued. And soon you find yourself burning out. The Stoic approach teaches us to focus on our own virtues and actions rather than seeking validation from others. However, it's important to recognize when an environment is persistently unappreciative, as this can lead to long-term dissatisfaction and diminished self-worth. In personal relationships, being taken for granted can feel even more painful. Imagine always being the one to plan outings, offer support, or make sacrifices only to have these gestures go unnoticed over time. This imbalance can lead to resentment and a feeling of emptiness. You might start to wonder why you're putting in so much work if it's not being rewarded or acknowledged. This isn't about getting praise all the time. It's about respecting and recognizing each other. It's a powerful act of self-respect to leave situations where you're taken for granted. It's not about being selfish. It's about knowing your own worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. The Stoics remind us that we shouldn't depend on other people's approval to feel like we're worthwhile. By leaving situations where your efforts are undervalued, you make room for opportunities and relationships that truly recognize and value your contributions. People often worry about what will happen if they leave and don't get a better job or make new friends. But staying in a place where you're not valued can be much worse in the long run. It can slowly destroy your happiness and sense of self-worth. The Stoics would tell us to follow our principles and values. Even if it means making tough decisions, put your own health and growth ahead of the comfort of the familiar. Imagine focusing your energy on people and places that genuinely value you. This change not only boosts your morale, but also aligns your life with the principles of mutual respect and appreciation. It's about making sure that your efforts are appreciated and returned. This balance is important for keeping healthy relationships and a good sense of self. When you refuse to be taken for granted, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. It's a statement of your self-worth and a step toward a more fulfilling life. You deserve to be in places where your efforts are recognized and valued. As the Stoics teach us, your worth is inherent and shouldn't depend on other people recognizing it. Be sure of this and don't be afraid to move on from people who don't see what you bring to the table. Your health is the most important thing in your life. If something is affecting your mental or physical health, it's a clear sign that something needs to change. We often put up with stress, anxiety, and physical strain because we think it's just part of life. But when these problems last for a long time, they can be warning signs that something needs to be done. Stoic philosophy tells us to know what we can control and what we can't. It also stresses how important it is to keep our inner peace and health. If you have a job that requires more of you than you can safely give, think about working long hours. Stress, burnout, and even major health problems like insomnia or high blood pressure can happen at work when there is a lot of pressure all the time. It's important to pay attention to these signs and act before it's too late, because your body and mind can only handle so much before they start to break down. The Stoics thought that modesty and balance were very important. In personal relationships, pushing yourself past your limits is a clear violation of these ideas. The stakes are just as high if you're dealing with constant conflict, neglect, or emotional abuse that's hurting your mental health. Understanding the damage is very important. Staying in a bad relationship can lead to sadness and a sense of being trapped. Stoics teach us to value our inner peace and stay away from people who make it less stable. Leaving a bad relationship is not a sign of failure. It's a brave thing to do to protect your mental health and get your peace back. Your physical health is just as important. You might be doing something or living a way of life that is hurting your body. It could be a sport your body can't handle anymore or bad habits that are wearing you down over time. Ignoring the damage these things do to your body can have long-lasting effects. As part of our natural existence, we must respect our boundaries and pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. This is part of the Stoic concept of living in harmony with nature. It's smart and self-respecting to leave conditions that are bad for your health. Realizing that your health should always come first is what the Stoics stress is important for making decisions that lead to a healthy and balanced life. This means knowing when to let go of things that aren't helping you and putting your health ahead of other people's needs or demands. Here's an idea of how your life might be different if you put your mental and physical health first. By leaving unhealthy places, you allow yourself to heal and grow. This could mean finding a job that respects your work-life balance, creating relationships that make you feel good, or changing your habits to improve your health. The Stoic desire of a good and satisfying life is closely linked to keeping your mind and body healthy. You should not put your health at risk. It's what makes it possible for you to live a full and worthwhile life. When you know when something is hurting you and have the courage to leave it, you choose to honor and protect yourself. The The Stoics say that true strength comes from being able to keep our inner peace and unity. So put your health first, make the changes you need to, and remember that leaving something that hurts you is a powerful act of self-care and wisdom. Living in a way that goes against your values can make you feel deeply unhappy and uneasy. Your values are the guiding principles that determine your actions, decisions, and overall direction in life. They show what you stand for and who you are. When you're forced to compromise your values, it can be very upsetting. This can happen at work, in your personal relationships, or in any other part of your life. The Stoics stress how important it is to live by your principles and ideals, because they believe that you can only be truly happy when your actions are in line with your beliefs. Think about a job that requires you to do something wrong or against your morals. Every time you give up a value for the sake of the job, you feel like a piece of your character is falling away. This isn't just about feeling bad. It's about losing touch with who you are. Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca said that staying honest and good is important for living a full and worthwhile life, even if your job goes against these values. At this point, it's clear that it may be time to end a relationship. Giving up on your ideals can be just as bad. Maybe you're in a relationship where you feel like you have to act in ways that don't match your beliefs, or you're surrounded by people whose actions and attitudes go against what you believe in. Over time, this dissonance can weaken your sense of who you are and cause constant inner turmoil. The Stoics teach us to be careful who we hang out with because the people we spend time with have a big impact on our character and health. If your values are constantly being violated in your relationships, you may need to reevaluate and possibly end the relationship to protect your honor. It's not a sign of weakness to walk away from situations that go against your values. It's a sign of strength and self-respect. It shows that you are committed to living your life honestly and that you value your principles over comfort or praise from others. Stoic philosophy tells us to stay true to our virtues and act in a way that is in line with our true nature, no matter what other people say or do. By doing this, we create a sense of inner peace and alignment that is essential for our overall health. Imagine the freedom and empowerment that comes from living a life that is fully in line with your values. When you make decisions that reflect your principles, you build a strong foundation of self-respect and confidence. You become someone that others can trust and rely on, not because you always do what's easy, but because you consistently do what's right. The Stoics believed that this kind of integrity was the key to true happiness and fulfillment. It is important to understand that bending your values, even in small ways, can add up. Every time you break your rules, it gets a little easier to do it again, creating a downward spiral that can eventually separate you from your true self. Stand your ground and leave situations that require you to bend your values. You're saying a lot about who you are and what you stand for. This brave and honest action may encourage others to do the same, which will lead to positive change all around. When we stop changing, we start to feel stuck and unsatisfied. It's like being stuck in a rut, where every day feels like the same old thing, whether it's in your job, your personal life, or your hobbies. It can be very frustrating to reach a point where you're not learning or improving anymore. The Stoics thought that people should always be trying to get smarter and better themselves. Life should be seen as a path of constant growth. If you're not moving forward, it's clear that something needs to change. Think about your work. There may have been a time when your job was challenging and fun, with chances to learn new skills and move up. But now it feels like you're just going through the motions. There are no new challenges, no chances to move up, and no excitement. When things don't change, it can make people very unhappy and bored. According to the Stoics, we should always try to do our best and look for ways to grow and get better. If these chances aren't available at your current job, it might be time to look for new ones that spark your interest and desire. In your personal life, not being able to grow can also be a big problem. One example is relationships. They should be changing and growing over time, helping both people become better versions of themselves. If your relationships are stuck and interactions feel boring and repetitive, it might be time to reevaluate them. The same goes for your personal interests and hobbies. If a hobby that used to make you happy and excited now feels dull and routine, it's time to find new ways to learn and grow. The Stoics believed in learning new things and growing as a person. They also said that you should always look for situations that challenge and inspire you. It's wise and self-care to leave situations where you're not learning or growing anymore. It's about seeing your potential and refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. The Stoics believe that our time on earth is limited and that we should use it wisely, always trying to improve ourselves and our understanding of the world by looking for new challenges and opportunities. You are living by this principle and making the most of your life. Imagine how exciting and satisfying it is to be constantly learning and growing. When you push yourself and leave your comfort zone, you open up a world of possibilities, learn new skills, gain new perspectives, and become stronger and more flexible. Your general health and happiness are improved by this steady growth, which also helps you in your personal and professional life. Stoics say that the only way to be truly happy is to live in line with your nature, which includes the desire to learn and grow. It's important to remember that in order to grow, you often have to let go of what's familiar and comfortable. This can be scary, but it's a necessary step toward reaching your full potential. The Stoics believed that discomfort and challenge are necessary for personal growth. They said that by being open to change and looking for new experiences, you build strength and resilience. Your willingness to learn and grow shows that you want to live a full and worthwhile life. There are a lot of situations where staying in a situation out of guilt or duty can be very draining and unfulfilling. People often stay in jobs, relationships, or commitments because they feel guilty about quitting or think it's their duty to do so. But if guilt or duty is the main reason you're staying, it's time to take a fresh look at your situation. The Stoics teach us to live in line with our real nature and to act from a genuine desire, not because of guilt or pressure from others. Think about a job where you feel like you have to stay because you don't want to let down your coworkers or because you're afraid of what other people will think of you if you leave. You may not enjoy your job anymore, or it doesn't fit with your career goals, but you feel guilty about leaving. You may be worried about the extra work you're leaving will cause your team or that you'll let down your boss. But staying in a role that doesn't serve you out of a sense of duty can lead to resentment and burnout. Stoicism stresses how important it is to act in line with your inner values and remember that you are in charge of your own choices, not the thoughts or expectations of other people in personal interactions. Guilt and obligation can be even more potent. You might stay in a friendship or romantic relationship because you feel responsible for the other person's happiness or because you've been together for a long time. You might worry that leaving will hurt them or feel that you owe it to them to stay. However, if the relationship is no longer healthy or fulfilling for you, staying out of obligation is not fair to either party. The Stoics remind us that genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and voluntary commitment, not on guilt or a sense of duty. It's important to act with integrity and honesty both to yourself and to others. Walking away from situations where you're only staying out of guilt or obligation is an act of self-respect and authenticity. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are valuable and that you deserve to spend them in ways that are meaningful and fulfilling to you. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our actions and decisions, and to let go of what we cannot control, such as the reactions of others, by prioritizing your own well-being and making decisions based on your true desires and values. You are living in accordance with Stoic principles. Imagine how freeing and empowering it is to make decisions that are in line with your true self. When you let go of guilt and obligation, you make room in your life for opportunities and relationships that truly resonate with you. This change can lead to more happiness, fulfillment, and personal growth. Stoics say that to live a good life, you should make decisions based on your deepest values and go after what really means to you instead of giving in to outside pressures. It can be hard to leave a situation out of guilt or obligation. You may feel uncomfortable at first and have to have hard conversations, but in the end, it's a step toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. The Stoics would tell you to go through this process with courage and wisdom. Real happiness comes from living in line with your inner values. When you make choices that are true to who you are, you develop a sense of inner peace and honesty. Whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a business connection, trust is the key to all important relationships. When someone seriously breaks our trust, it can feel like the ground has been pulled out from under us. This can happen in a lot of different ways. Lying, cheating, betrayal, or not telling the truth, and it often leaves deep mental scars. The Stoics stress the importance of being honest and having integrity. They teach us that our actions and the trust we build with others show what kind of person we are. When trust is broken, it means that something fundamental has changed in the relationship. For example, finding out that a close friend has been spreading lies about you or that your partner has been cheating on you. These kinds of revelations are not only hurtful, they change the dynamics of the relationship so much that it's hard, if not impossible, to keep interacting with the same level of openness and vulnerability. The Stoics said that we should deal with these kinds of events with clarity and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, for example, said that we should accept the world as it is and other people's actions, but we should also take steps to protect our own peace and honesty at work. A major breach of trust could be when a coworker takes credit for your work or when a boss lies to you. If these things happen at work, it can make you lose confidence and make it hard to stay motivated and engaged. The Stoics say that we should always act with honor and integrity, no matter what other people do. If trust is broken in a way that makes it impossible for you to do your job properly and ethically, you might want to think about quitting. Running away from problems isn't the point of leaving a relationship or situation where trust has been broken badly. It's the point of protecting your emotional and mental health. Realizing that trust is very hard to rebuild after it's been broken is important. Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can change, like our own actions and reactions, and accept that we can't change other people. One way to do this is to walk away from a situation. If you decide to put your own honesty and peace of mind first, think about what staying in a situation where trust has been broken will do to you in the long run. The constant doubt and anxiety can be very bad for your mental health, and you might find yourself questioning the other person's actions and motives all the time, which can be very tiring and crippling. The Stoics would tell you to put your inner peace above all else. Another well-known Stoic philosopher, Seneca, said that we shouldn't give up our peace of mind to keep a relationship that doesn't serve us anymore. Imagine how freeing and empowering it is to leave a situation where trust has been broken. When you walk away, you make room for new, healthier relationships based on mutual respect and trust. You also send a strong message to yourself and others about how much you value yourself and the standards you expect from others. The Stoics believed that the best way to live a good life was to surround yourself with people who share those values. It can be hard to walk away from someone who has broken your trust. You might have to have hard conversations and lose a relationship that was important to you. But it's important to remember that your health and honesty are the most important things. The Stoics teach us to face these challenges with courage and wisdom, knowing that the most moral path isn't always the easiest one. Losing yourself can be one of the most confusing and painful things that can happen. As you put other people's needs and expectations ahead of your own, you may wake up one day and realize you no longer recognize the person looking back at you in the mirror. This loss of self can happen in many areas of your life, including relationships, careers, and social circles, and it can leave you feeling empty and disconnected. The Stoics stress how important it is to know yourself and live in line with your true nature. If you lose sight of who you are, it means that something fundamental needs to change. For example, if you're in a relationship and have to constantly give up your own wants and values to keep the peace or please your partner, you may realize that over time you've changed to fit someone else's expectations, forgetting who you are in the process. This can leave you feeling deeply lost and confused. Stoics teach us to value who we really are and live in a real way. Marcus Aurelius tells us that we shouldn't let other people's expectations control our lives. Instead, we should stay true to our own traits and beliefs in our work. When you're so focused on moving up the corporate ladder or meeting outside standards of success that you forget why you started in the first place. You might end up in a role that looks great on paper but doesn't make you feel fulfilled or connected to your passions. The Stoics would tell you to think about what's important to you and make sure that your work fits with your interests and beliefs. It's important to find roles and places where you can be yourself and make a difference in ways that are important to you. Your social circles and friendships can also make you lose your sense of self. If you hang out with people whose values and ways of life don't resonate with you, it's easy to start conforming to fit in, which can weaken your sense of identity over time. The Stoics believed that it was important to pick your friends carefully and make sure that your relationships reflect your true self. Seneca said that we should look for friendships based on mutual respect and shared values because they help us grow and stay true to who we are. Leaving situations where you've lost yourself is an act of courage and self-rediscovery. It's about reclaiming your identity and living in line with your true nature. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, decisions, and how we choose to live our lives. By stepping away from environments that suppress your true self, you create space for growth and self-exploration. This journey of rediscovery allows you to reconnect with your passions, values, and the things that bring you joy. Imagine the freedom and fulfillment that come from living authentically. When you let go of the need to conform and embrace your true self, you experience a sense of liberation. You start to attract relationships and opportunities that align with who you really are. This authenticity not only enhances your own well-being, but also positively impacts those around you. The Stoics believe that living in accordance with your true nature is essential for a virtuous and fulfilling life. It's important to recognize that reclaiming yourself can be a challenging process. It might involve difficult decisions and leaving behind people or situations that once felt comfortable. However, it's a necessary step towards living a life that truly reflects your values and passions. Stoics would tell you to go on this trip with courage and kindness toward yourself, knowing that you will be truly happy when you live in harmony with your inner self. A very disappointing feeling is when you've done everything you could and still don't see any progress or positive change. You're tired because no matter what you did, things stayed the same. This feeling can happen in many areas of your life, such as relationships, careers, or personal projects. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control and to accept what we cannot. When you've given your all, and the outcome hasn't changed, it might be time to recognize that it's not a reflection of your worth or effort, but rather a sign that it's time to move on. Consider a relationship where you've tried every possible way to communicate, to mend, and to make things work. You've been patient, empathetic, and have put in the hard work to resolve conflicts. But despite your best efforts, the relationship remains unfulfilling or toxic. This can be incredibly draining both emotionally and mentally. The Stoics remind us that our responsibility is to our own actions and intentions, not the actions or responses of others. If your efforts are not reciprocated or acknowledged, it's a clear indication that continuing to stay might only cause more harm than good in your professional life. There might be a project or job role where you've invested significant time and energy. You've implemented new strategies, worked overtime, and dedicated yourself to making things better. Yet the results don't align with your expectations and there's no sign of improvement. This can lead to burnout and frustration. The Stoic way to deal with things would be to look at them objectively and realize that even though you did your best, the situation might be out of your control. To protect your health and professional growth, you should know when to change direction, look for new opportunities, or even quit completely. You may reach a point in your personal projects and goals where it seems impossible to make progress, no matter how hard you work at them. If you've tried everything and are still stuck, it's easy to feel sorry for yourself and give up. The Stoics would tell you to think about what you've learned from the experience, appreciate your efforts, and know that not all efforts are meant to succeed. Sometimes the wise thing to do is to know when to give up and focus your energy on something else that will lead to more success. Giving up when you've done everything you can isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of self-respect and knowledge. It means realizing how much you can affect things and accepting the results you can't change. The Stoics thought it was important to focus on what matters and let go of what doesn't. They said that when you leave situations that don't serve you anymore, You make room for new chances and experiences that are more in line with your goals and values. Imagine how freeing and relieved you'll feel when you realize you've done everything you could have done. By letting go, you break the cycle of anger and regret. Leaving something behind opens up chances to grow, new starts, and learning. The Stoics teach us that life is full of chances to grow, and that sometimes that means knowing when to walk away. It's important to be kind to yourself and understand that walking away doesn't take away from your efforts or the importance of what you've tried to achieve. Instead, it shows how strong you are and how committed you are to living an authentic and purposeful life. The Stoics would tell you to see this as a part of your journey, a step toward new paths that may offer more fulfillment and success in your life. Knowing when to walk away is a profound act of courage and self-respect. It's about putting your peace, your integrity, and your growth above all else. Remember that every step you take toward living authentically is a step toward a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Thanks for being a part of the Stoic way. Do what makes you happy and stay true to yourself.